Let's do that. Not the outro yet. Oh, I'm using the wrong mic. Go. That should be the right mic. Howdy, everybody, and welcome to Q&A with Tom Vasel here on the Dice Tower on February 1st, 2021. This is the week of my son, Jimmy. His birthday is on Friday. You never forget your kids' birthdays because they never let you forget them. And he's turning 7. So it's been 7 years since I've had a child. That's a big deal because there was a good stretch of time there for 20 years where I was having them often. So that's okay. I'm okay to move past that time frame. All right, so this is a Q&A where we talk about pretty much anything and everything, ask questions, and I may or may not answer them. I may not answer them because I've been asked them many, many times before or because I don't feel like answering it. And I apologize in advance if your question doesn't get answered, but you never know what might happen. So if you have a question, just put it there. Let's see. Did I try to join by the subscription button? I did not. How to become a member? Oh, I think you can. I don't actually know. I don't have the thing in front of me. There are ways to become a member there. Maybe someone who is a member could help you in the thing. Congratulations on a successful Kickstarter. Yes. Yes. But I'll tell you what, man, we did crash because I don't normally stay up super late anyway. But not only did we stay up late, but we were like, all the way up to midnight. And normally, the last couple hours of the night, you're kind of just like chilling. You know, before you go to bed, you kind of to bed. But when you're like this all the way to the end, it's very, very, can be very tiring. What will the tattoo be? I don't know yet. Probably my dice guy. It's either going to be my dice guy or the Dice Tower logo. Has my enthusiasm for pies cooled the last couple days? Sure, but not for the reasons you're thinking. Do you use a subscription service to watch Korean dramas? I don't really watch them. My wife does, but I think she gets most of them through Hulu or Netflix. I'm not sure, but she gets plenty of them through there. Can you explain what a Euro game is and what a Ameritrash game is? Really enjoyed the top 100, and I heard a lot of game lingo that I didn't understand. That's very reasonable. You're right, and that's one thing I try to do with the Dice Tower is try to be as friendly to new people as we can. Ameritrash is, think of it as rah, is the best description of it. That's actually in a dictionary. You look up Ameritrash, and it's rah, but it's kind of like there's a strong theme, which is often you got dudes in a map killing each other, or you're going through a dungeon, or, you know, there's war going on. It's not always war and dungeon crawls, but that's kind of the gist of it, games like that. Euro-style games are usually for points, and they're more about accomplishing a tasks and scoring points. Usually there's a point track, and whoever gets to a certain number of points first is the winner. Then there's 8 million hybrids in between. Ever think about doing a retro game night? Who says I never have? For the playthrough commentary, will you show more of the gameplay or mostly focus on the commentary? I don't know yet. It depends on the game, frankly. What was the hidden movement game y'all alluded to during the top 100s? I don't know what we're talking about, so you'd have to be more specific than that. Do you think WandaVision's more House of M or more Avengers Disassembled? I don't know that it's either. I feel, and I fear almost, that it's small, like it's a very small story that might have repercussions in the Marvel Universe. I don't know how big the story is going to be. We'll have to wait and see until it's over. I'm being as spoiler-free as possible. I would love if it was House of M, but I don't see that happening. When can we expect the Marvel Smash Up review? Maybe next week? I haven't decided yet what next week's reviews are. Roll for the Galaxy or Race, which is better for a first-time player? Probably Roll is easier to get into. Maybe. Did you know Chris Yee before bringing him on as an employee? Well, I met him and did some stuff with him briefly on with the Dice Tower and things, but not real well. Do you have any suggestions for those who live in rural areas and have a difficult time finding people to play? No, I don't. I mean, you can try to play online. Obviously, that's an option. But I mean, if you're in a rural area, maybe there is people that you can meet up. And I mean, it seems like you have to be in a really out of the way to not find anybody. I would offer to teach people games and type things. You never know. Can we late pledge for the Kickstarter? You will be able to. We're going to have a pledge manager. It's going to take us about a month or so to set that up. We got to finish up Kickstarter first, in a sense. But if you want to be involved with that, simply email Kenny@dicetower.com, and he'll get you added to the list, and we'll email you when it happens. Tom, I need to know, have you forgotten about Wavelength? You called it your possible party game of the year when it came out, and I never saw it on the list again. Well, First of all, there was a promo on our Kickstarter for it where I actually created the cards for it. Secondly, it was the next game on the pile we had here on Friday night. It just didn't come out, but it almost did. I really like it. Still very fun. There's just so many lists that we can do, and you know, so many games aren't going to make them. We didn't do our top 10 party games. It might be on it. I don't know. What role, if any, do you see the Dice Tower playing when it comes to representation in the board game community? I don't actually understand what that question means, but if you're talking about representation as in we try to have as many different people as possible, I hope that we are just simply someone who does it by example. If you look at Board Game Breakfasts, which is our prime, it's our main vehicle that we have a slew of all different people from all different backgrounds and different ideas and thoughts amongst our Board Game Breakfast. There's just all different folks there. And also you'll see the reviewers on the Dice Tower, not just the main group here, but the ones that I bring in and have do different reviews. Again, I feel like I have a slew of different folks doing those reviews for the Dice Tower. What's the difference between board game and video game communities? Age? I don't really know. I mean, I often said that if you think a board game community is toxic, go see a video game community. But I'm sure there's a lot of video game communities that are super nice, and I just haven't looked for them. I don't really look for communities much at all. I just stick in the ones I'm in, and I'm not really into video games. Only time I go online for a video game is if I'm stuck in a puzzle and I can't figure out how to get through it, or to read reviews. I don't go any farther than that, so I really don't know. Just finished watching all the top 100 videos. I was disappointed that historical board games were just about non-existent from any of your lists. Well, that would let you make your own then to fix that point, right? People say that, but what I think Mike had PAX Premier on his list. I feel like there's not a lot of great, strong historical games. That aren't war games. There's a lot of war games for sure, but other historical games that aren't ultra complicated. But there definitely are a lot of great historical games that just may not have made my top 100. I don't ever feel bad about that, and I won't apologize for it. I won't apologize for not having anything on my list. I put my favorite games on the list. I don't care what they're about. I don't care what the theme is. I don't care what the age group is. I put my favorite games on the list. And I will not deliberately put games in there just so I can please everybody. I think that's nonsensical. Now, I'll call people out when I say nonsense like, Tom doesn't like Euro games, when clearly in my top 20 games, there are some fairly big Euro games. Yeah, they're not big enough for the people saying that, but I'm never going to make people happy anyway. So I put my favorite games. So if you think there's not enough historical ones, well, okay, sorry, but I like a lot of historical games. We're going to be talking about one this week on the Dice Tower, about the Tripoli, the Shores of Tripoli. That's a historical game that I enjoy, and I like it. So, yeah, sorry. What character are you most excited to play in Marvel United? I don't really have a preference, actually. I'll just play whatever I get. I'll just pull out a character and play it. As a teetotaler, how diligent are you? I used to be alcohol-free mouthwash and not eat any food that was cooked with alcohol. I've learned that life is better with shrimp scampi. No. So I say I'm a teetotaler. I don't drink. I don't have any super strong reasoning behind it other than my two reasons are, one, I can't become an alcoholic if I never drink. And you can say it's stupid all you want, but that's just one of my thoughts. Secondly, I have never seen someone come to me and go, my life was made better by alcohol. Oh, thirdly, I guess I saved money. Now, I definitely use mouthwash with alcohol in it because it's really powerful. I'm also not drinking the mouthwash. I spit it out, don't most people? And food cooked with alcohol doesn't mean anything. It's just a flavoring thing. The actual stuff is cooked out of it. Now, when I say I'm a teetotaler, realize that I am not pushing that on anybody else, right? Well, my kids, but not anyone else. And I mean, I'm opposed to drunkenness. I think that's stupid. You can argue with me on it if you want. I think it's dangerous and stupid. But I just have chosen for myself to not drink, and I don't really regret that. I don't feel like I'm missing out. Bonaker's always like trying to get me to drink. He's like, come on, drink something. I always tell him, I'm like, if I did start drinking, I don't think you would be the first person. Just at some random place. Have I managed to watch Peter Pan Goes Wrong yet? Yes, I watched Peter Pan Goes Wrong and Christmas Carol Goes Wrong. And I watched the new one I did. I watched everything It Goes Wrong show. I watched them all. I think the Peter Pan one might be my favorite. I really like that one. The Christmas Carol was also good, but man, the Peter Pan one was hilarious. The one I just did, the Nativity, was also really funny. I just love that show. I'm annoyed that there's so little of it. I would watch it. It's my favorite TV show. Are you watching Yellowstone? I don't know what that is, actually. If you could have anything, what is one piece of swag you would want with the Dice Tower logo on it? Dice Tower Tesla? Wow, like you just really you ramped that up pretty quickly. A helicopter? I mean, if we're saying anything, I don't know. A private jet? No, I mean, I don't know. I feel like I got the logo. I've been wanting to put it on my car. I just can't think of a good reason to justify it. Will you have someone to focus more on Eurogame contents? See previous answer about historical. First of all, we cover almost every Eurogame that comes out. It's mind-boggling to me when people say we don't. Like, I'll say, well, what did we not cover? You didn't cover On Mars. Okay, cool. What else? And then they'll try to find some more obscure ones. But we covered most of the major ones. In fact, this week I'm reviewing Hallertau. You'll say, well, that's not a Euro. Okay, fine. Knock on a different door then? We're going to be playing Praga soon and reviewing that. And, yeah, anyway. How many games ended up in the Catch-A-Palooza list? I don't remember. I just asked Chris that earlier. I want to say it's 67 or something like that. We're playing the first one this Friday, actually. Have you ever tried Jackbox games on the PC? No. I'm being dorky there. I played them on my Mac. And we played them on the TV. Do you think they're treading on board game territory a bit? Oh, yeah, sure. They're party games, just like board games. The Goes Wrong show, by the way, I think is on Amazon Prime, is where I've seen it. Tom, you were a math teacher. Explain the difference between ordinal and cardinal. Ordinal is when somebody is not weird. I'd say that person's an ordinal person. And a cardinal is, I think, a pre-pope person. I have an idea for Shoots and Marbles, a race of champions. When you have 8 different winners, have them all face off for ultimate glory. Well, you may be seeing the future, except I probably will wait till I have 16, and then we'll do the 16 runner face off. I believe at this point we have 7 champions, I think. Maybe we have 8, but I'm waiting till we have 16, and then they're going to go off after each other. I never thought I liked Euro games. If someone pointed out Dune Imperium checks a lot of Euro boxes. Sure. And besides, the word Euro game is so diluted at this point. I don't even know what it means, really. Let's see here. What's all the big hype with Machiko, especially in your contests? Well, the contests, almost every contest on our show is sponsored by the publishers, and so Panasars is sponsoring us, and they're running contests for Machikoro. But why not? It's a fun game. You should try it out. And you just gave them more free publicity. What card does Z want to destroy in Elrich Horror? I don't remember what the card is exactly. And I don't even remember where it's in. It's in the base game. But essentially, when you play Eldritch Horror, you need to accomplish a certain number of goals. So let's say you're fighting Cthulhu. I think there's 3 things you need to do. And there's one card that basically says, that one thing you did went away, do it again. I get it. That's super annoying. There's nothing more annoying. It's like go back 6 spaces. It's that same feeling. Bleh. Do Space Base and Machikoro have similar mechanisms? I like Machikoro, and I'm wondering if I would like Space Base. Yes, if you like Machikoro, you'll like Space Base. I really believe that. I was wondering how Aquatica became a Dice Tower Essential, because I played it, and I emailed the company and said I would like this game to become a Dice Tower Essential. It's very, very close to that. And I had already been talking to them about making smartphone a Dice Tower Essential, so it was pretty simple. How did the other guys feel about Vabank? I don't think I won anyone over with it. They thought it was fine and enjoyed it. Maybe a few of them did, but no one loves it. I love it the most. How many times do you play a game before feeling comfortable making a review? Enough. Will you review your Catch-A-Paloozas or just play them? No. We're going to talk about them for sure after we play them. Can you do a cartwheel? I definitely cannot. I've also never tried. Is it true that Jason eats more meals with you than anyone else? No, the person who eats more meals than anyone else would be my wife and my children. So you're outside the house. No, the guy's here at work for sure. But then after that, it probably is Jason, just because he's just somehow there. Approximately how many emails do you receive and reply to every day? 100 at least. Oh, and reply to? That's not, I don't know if I reply to 100. Maybe 40 or 50. Question for you. Like Madaris, what number did you rank it since it's not top 100? Guess you'll have to wait and find out. It still amazes me the fact that when a game falls out of the top 100 or doesn't make the top 100, that people assume I didn't like it. We did some numbers last night. If you get a chance, watch our statistic thing. And so it's 1.6% of every game I've ever played makes the top 100. Because I've played 7,000 games. So there are 6,900 games that did not make my top 100. There's not 6,900 bad games. There's at least a couple thousand for sure. And each year that's going to get harder and harder to make the top 100. It's just the way it goes. And I feel like any game all the way up to my 1,000, I could automatically say, that's a great game. Like I can use the word great. That's still only 1/6 of all the or 1/7 of all the games I played. I enjoyed the top 100 analysis video. Are there plans for any more? Yeah. We'll do more of that in the future. Is the pledge manager how I'll choose which pair of dice I receive? Yes. What happened to app reviews on Friday? I still may do some in the future, but right now I'm going to focus on some other things and pass a lot of the apps off to Z. Can you talk about what Dice Tower Essentials means? Do you get a kickback for every game sold? Are there any extras in the box, or is it a logo the publisher's at? Well, it's a line of games from Arcane Wonders. Only Arcane Wonders. It's a deal I've worked out with them, where I bring them games and say, I like this game, I would like you to make it a Dice Tower Essential. They don't always say yes. Sometimes the person who made the game is not interested in it. So, but if everyone says yes and it all works together, then they go around and get it published. Once they publish it, I do get some of the proceeds from that. Not a ton, but some. And it's basically me saying this game is an essential game. I've already played the game. I've already liked the game enough to do it. Any game in that line, I would say, is an excellent game. That's why I gave it to him to begin with. Some people are like, well, you said it's excellent because it's Dice Tower Essential. No, it's Dice Tower Essential because it's excellent. I already liked it first. And that's what it is. Shoots and Marbles is going to be amazing with those new tracks. I know! Do you have any input on the track design? A little bit, but I don't. This is like my input on those tracks. So, I mean, definitely I talked to him about it, and it was my idea to make it a U shape because I want to be able to drop the marbles, have them come down, go around, and come back, and then I don't have to move. Because right now I'm moving around the table, which is fine, but it's a little bit easier this way. But other than that, I might say, can it do this or that? But it's basically like talking to Michelangelo and saying, you made a mistake there on David. I would not do that. And that's how I feel here. He is so good at this stuff. It's mind-blowing to me how good he is. What was the last Kickstarter you backed? I don't really talk about that, actually. I can tell you about the last Kickstarter Tom Vasel backed. So there's a very big difference between things that I back and things that we back as the Dice Tower. I have a secret thing that I use for that. So Tom Vasel, last thing I backed was Barcelona hot sauce, which I've not gotten yet. Luxury artisan hot sauces, handmade in Barcelona. The sauces have been shipped and should be arriving shortly. Ooh. So there's Amarilla, Roja, and Verde. They look delicious. So that's the last thing I backed. I usually back like hot sauces and things. So before that, I backed B&B Gourmet and Grill sauce, which I got. And First Class by Superhero Me. That was a kids game where the kids put it together for a special project. I got this Bird Buddy, a smart bird feeder that has a camera and it takes a picture of the birds. That's for my wife, I think, for a present. I don't think she watches my Kickstarter feed. All right. All righty, let's go back to Ecamm. All right. All righty. What is the next big announcement in Shoots and Marbles? Well, it's our new track. You saw part of it today in Board Game Breakfast. If you haven't, go back and watch it. And it's going to be cool. Also, we're going to get another camera on it soon so that we can have multiple camera shots and things. Once we're into full bore mix here, it's going to be exciting. Or not if you hate it, which is fine. But we get excited about it. That game Waddle behind you, is that a children's game? Not really. It looks kind of like a children's game, but it's not. It's like an area control style thing. It's a little odd. I wouldn't call it a kid's game at all. Where do you get your hats? Pretty much anywhere I can. I haven't got a new hat in a while, though, which is fine. What are your thoughts if Sagrada used D20s instead of D6 dice? That'd be weird. It would not look like a nice, beautiful board, I guess. It makes sense to use six-sided dice. Beta Ray Bill is my #1 character in Marvel United. Okay, cool. It seems like a lot of top blank are qualitative based. Have you thought about creating a rubric and ranking board games on a more quantitative basis? Sorry, teacher perspective. Okay, well, I'm a teacher too, or I was a teacher. I hate rubrics. I get why rubrics exist. And I was forced to use a rubric sometimes for certain classes to score with them. But they just don't always work. Like I would have a kid and I would get the rubric and it would say, did they cover the theme? Something out of 5 points. So they do this. And when it was done, I'd look and say, oh, they got an 83. But that was a great report they did. It's not a B, it's an A. That always would drive me crazy. That rubrics just don't always give what the overall. It only gives you the parts. It doesn't give you the sum of its parts. Now, I get in teaching, it's problematic to not use a rubric because then you're kind of just shooting off your, well, it's this. That's why I like teaching math. You're right or you're wrong. And even then, I'd give partial credit if you knew how to do it and you just made a computational error. But when it comes to games, I like it or I don't. I don't want to do rubrics. I feel like rubrics, even like the score of a game. I know some people do that, and that's fine. That's for them. I've thought about it before. Okay, so out of theme, 1 out of 10. And sometimes I don't care. It has this problem, has this problem, has this problem, and I still love it. Or it checks off all these things, and yet it still fell flat for me. So no, I don't use rubrics for games, and I won't. What is the currently most unnecessary Bloated board game series? Legendary? Ticket to Ride? Dominion? No. Legendary could be up there. DC Deck Builder would be right there with it. I don't think DC Deck Builder needs the vast amount of expansions it has. Munchkin? Munchkin's probably the most bloated series there is. Like, even if you love Munchkin, I mean, you don't need decks, like 2 decks this tall. It's really ridiculous. Do you like cube rail games at all? Oh, some. Some I like, some I don't. Should you play Machikoro Legacy with more than 2, or is that okay? 2 is okay. I think I played it with 3. But you could play it with 2. Oh, I see. Someone said a guy started a brewery. That made his life better. My life was improved by alcohol, but that's because I had a sleep disorder and it makes me sleepy. Fair enough. Would you say your faith is what gets you through hard times? Yes. Any advice for people who don't have faith to get through tough times? Well, that might be a different conversation that we would have offline, a much longer one, I think, that would involve. Do you think the new Marvel sets for Unmatched will put it above Funkoverse for you? That is an interesting question and one I've certainly been thinking about. The answer is, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Do you prefer using chopsticks or a fork? Definitely a fork, to the point where my wife and children mock me. In Korea, I carried a fork in my suit coat pocket. So we get to a restaurant, and I'd be like, I'm using a fork. And I've tried using chopsticks. I've been shown how to use it like hundreds of times. I just like a fork. And this is not a knock. It's just me. This has nothing to do with culture or anything. I just like a fork. I like a fork. No matter where I am, I want a fork. Spoon's good too, though. A fork and a spoon. Not a spork. But I don't know. I just like using it. My wife, she's like, you tried all the foods in Korea. You would go anywhere and try new things, but you still use a fork. I'm like, it's my one thing. Let me have it. But I'm made fun of all the time about it. I wonder if Funkoverse is dead. It is interesting. I haven't heard anything about it. I don't think it's dead, but let's say it did. Let's say Funkoverse is dead, which I doubt. But let's say it is. There's a ton out there. I feel like there's enough out there that it is a complete game in a sense. Like, if they don't make any more, there's still a ton for you to mix and match and play with. Not to complain, but do you think there's a need for a person Dice Tower to like and review really heavy games like Lacerda, Iron Games, etc.? There's a lot in the top 200 BGG. I would be willing to take someone who reviewed those, but Liz reviews some of that heavier stuff and handles it. She reviews some of the heavier games. But I just can't find someone to review every style of game. You know what's interesting to me? I do review games that nobody else takes a look at. I really do. I review little kids games, which hardly anyone talks about, any of the major reviewers. I review funky, weird party games that no one talks about. And I review a lot of games from Korea and Japan that a lot of people don't talk about. I just can't review everything. And so is there a need? I don't think there's a need for us to review everything. I try to, but I can't. But I wouldn't bring on a new reviewer just because they can review 2 or 3 Euro games a year, heavy Euro games. I want them because I want someone who has a wide breadth. So if someone out there wants to start reviewing these heavier games, I can. But I'm also, and this I really do mean, if I do bring on someone like that, I need someone who can review those games without sneering down on those of us who don't like them as much. Because that to me, I find extremely off-putting. My life has absolutely been improved by alcohol. The positive aspects of socialization, of hospitality, and culinary aspects of craft cocktail communities about building relationships. Sure, I guess, but I could still do that without alcohol. There's nothing there that can't be done without alcohol. That's what I mean by it. And you can say, well, Tom, you could say it about anything. Well, maybe. But there's dangers of alcohol. Drunk driving is a thing. People beat their families because they're drunk. Drunkenness exists. And so I'm just cautious. That's all. For me. Only me. Where were you able to watch the new Goes Wrong episode? Just a Christmas special? Someone sent it to me. I don't think it's available online anywhere. Have I ever been curious about what a fine wine, beer, spirit tastes like? No, not really. I've always thought beer smelled bad. In particular, I was always, though, the mixed drinks always looked delicious. The cocktails, I was like, oh, wow, those look good. And then one day someone said, you know, you can get those virgin, and it blew my mind. I was like, you can? And then I was happy. So then I no longer think about that. Anyone can join the DC, I guess that means Dice Tower, and submit a review if they think games are underrepresented. Sure. And people have done that before. They said, hey, you need to cover this. That's how Bart, the chief, contacted me. He's like, hey, you don't cover enough war games. We want to do some war games. I'm like, sure. You know, I want to make sure it meets the standards of the Dice Tower network, but I'm always interested in that sort of thing. Team Godzilla or Team Kong? I am 100% Team Kong. Come on, I want to, and I'm a little worried because in the trailer it looked like Khan definitely had the upper hand. So I don't know. I'm a little concerned about that, but I'm definitely on Kong's team. How do you keep your passion for games up when you played them for work for so many years? It's impressive how much fun you have. I don't know. I just like it. I like playing games. It's fun. Are you going to play catch-up games live or just post game reviews opinions? Just do the games. I love your live plays, and I don't mind it, but it's... Playing a game live is different than playing a game not live. When we play a game not live, we're able to kind of sit back, chill, check rules without worrying about what people think. Say what we really think about the game sometimes, you know, straight up. And it's just more chill. I can probably get 2 games played offline for every 1 online. Because when you play online and people are watching, you have to be on. And now this is something that a lot of people don't realize, right? Like anybody can play games online. And lots of people do. Lots of people play board games online. But you have to make it a fun watching experience. I've watched some games being played online, and I got to be really careful because my goal is not to criticize people who play games online. But I want it to be a fun game to watch. I find, therefore, that Euro games are not as interesting to watch because the people are sitting there going, So when we play those games, I try to keep a patter going. And I talk to the people who are playing with me and say, we got to keep talking because that's interesting for the people watching. We try to make our games as entertaining as possible. So like when we did that Kickstarter closing party, we played dumb, terrible games, but it was fun to watch, I hope. We played fun party games because party games are always fun to watch. And I think about that, and you have to be on. You cannot, when I'm playing a game with people off camera, we can sit there and, I could not say anything for 10 minutes, and it's fine. That is not fine when you're streaming. And every time if I say that, someone will be like, oh, I don't care. Sure, but the vast majority of people do. There's a reason live gameplays with no talking don't get a ton of views because they're not must-see TV. So that's why a lot of games get played offline. Is there a size limit on marbles? No, I mean, right now I'm taking, the only marbles that fit are what I call normal marbles, but you saw his track allows 1-inch marbles. Once we start allowing 1-inch marbles, we may have to make a different category for them because I'm assuming a 1-inch marble will beat a small marble, although I'm certainly going to put that to the test. Did I know about Mage Wars 2nd Edition? Are you asking because they've announced a Mage Wars 2nd Edition? If somebody could answer that question before I say if I know about a Mage Wars 2nd Edition. Essentially, what have they said out loud? That would be good info for me to have. Oh, well, I'm glad you enjoy building your own marble run. I appreciate that. That's a lot of fun, and I'm glad. Making a marble run thing is a fantastic thing. That is not in my skill set, so I allow other people to make them for me. I guess Vindication would count as a Euro 2? Oh, for sure. I like to see more overpowered content, sure, but it's not going to come back as a living card game. I don't know who has the rights to the game system. I don't know who does. I think that'd be a neat game system to bring back. But while Marvel Champions exists from Fantasy Flight and Asmodee, no one else is getting that license. Who is the person in Dice Tower that's the biggest practical joker? Kenny. Who's the best one? Kenny. Oh, what was the best one? Oh, Kenny has done so many things. So this just happened recently. We all got together and we did our spring cleaning, which is now because it's spring here in Florida. And we got together and we were cleaning, and Z was going through all the drawers. And he came out and he said, I found a full scorpion sitting in one of the drawers, Z said. It was dead, but there was a scorpion in there. And he said, and I said, put it on Kenny's desk. And Z's like, why would you do that to Kenny? And I said, nah, it's funny. Stick it on Kenny's desk. When he comes in, he'll see the scorpion. And so Kenny came in, and Z's like, I'm opposed. I just want to go on record, I'm opposed to this idea. So Kenny came in, saw the scorpion, jumped a little bit, and he's like, oh, who took the scorpion out of the drawer? And we were like, what? And Kenny's like, yeah, he found it dead somewhere. And so he stuck it in the drawer for someone to find later on. And Z said, Tom, I take it back. I apologize for trying to stop you from putting the scorpion on Kenny's desk. Kenny has also gotten every guest last year who came in with Manny. He put a clown on Manny and stuck him in different spots. He got Rodney Smith. He got Jeremy Howard. He got Liz Davidson. We didn't have the camera problem, which was unfortunate. But Jeremy specifically did quite a bit of a jump. Kenny had the sitting in the bathtub. So that's definitely Kenny for sure. And then last year we took Manny with the clown on, and we were moving storage units. We were moving everything from one storage to another. Actually, this was 2 years ago. And I was like, guys, the new storage unit, we're going to stand the mannequin up in there, so when Kenny goes in, it will surprise him. He'll open the door, and there's the mannequin. So we did it. And then I said, all right, let's get the camera there. So we all went. And when we got to the door, Kenny said, Tom, here, you take the key. This is a kind of a tricky key. I need you to know how to do it. And I was like, fine, why don't you show me how it's done? And he said, no. You need to learn how to do it yourself. And I was like, yeah, I'll figure it out later. we're kind of a crunch here, just do it. And this went back and forth 2 minutes, and finally I was like, you know, don't you? Because what happened was he found it earlier. He had come in, and it did scare him. So then he put it back in there to scare the next person. And so we're going back and forth, not knowing that we both know there's a mannequin in there. So yeah, this is the kind of shenanigans that go on at Dice Tower all the time. A few years ago, you said that Z would hate Mombasa, but now it sits on the shelf behind him. Is it his copy? I don't know. But yeah, Z definitely likes some heavier Euros now. Like he liked Merv, which I would not have thought Z would enjoy, but he liked it a lot. That's why we say pre-Merv and post. We say before Merv and after Merv. Have your taste changed after you played most games with Roy and Mike this year? Maybe, but I don't know. I've also, well, I played a lot of games with my kids too, so I don't know what's changed, you know, caused my change, but possibly. Being ambassadors, have you ever thought about a show discussing new to gaming topics, game suggestions, mechanisms, definitions, how to play, sharing your enthusiasm, creating game groups, etc.? That's an interesting idea, and maybe in the future I'll try something like that. I gotta be careful though, because I just committed to like 6 new series, so I gotta do those first. Hypothetical, a couple people are coming over your house you don't know very well, and you're gonna play a game. What game do you pick to help show them how modern great board games can be? I don't. I know, I'm a terrible ambassador. I just don't. Someone comes to my house, I just talk to them. I don't even try to talk about a game. Now, if the subject of a game comes up and they're like, can you show us a game? Then I go upstairs and grab the lightest game I have at that point in time. I always have some sitting around somewhere. And that's what we play. Doesn't really matter. Now, if I know somebody and I want them to play a game, then I think this person likes trains. I'm going to show them Ticket to Ride. Or they like Rummy, so I'll show them Ticket to Ride. This person likes this, so I'll show them this game. I cater it more. What would be some of the reasons that a company rejects a request for a game to become a Dice Tower Essential? Because they've signed with somebody else. There are many games over the years that I really worked hard to get. Spyfall, for example, but Cryptozoic got it before I got it. Recently, I really tried to get Nidavellir, but Gigamic got it. You know, that's what it is. It's not that they don't want to work with us, or maybe the terms of the deal don't work out. Like we tried to get a fake Artist Goes to New York from Oink Games, but Oink insisted that the game had to be in that Oink box, that we couldn't change the box or cover, and I wasn't going to have any of that because you can't sell a small little box like that for that price point that we would have to make it for. And yes, I know that on Board Game Geek, there are people who go crazy over every Oink game in that little size box, but it doesn't work well for the mass market. In fact, incidentally, a few years later, they sold it in the store in a big version box. But anyhow, so that has happened, but usually it's just because another company got it. Do you try to play games with every player count before making reviews? No, especially in games that say 2 to 16. That's insane. Is the opposite true? We love Space Base. Will we like Machikoro? I don't know. It might feel like a step back. Machikoro is a strong gateway game. If you notice, Space Base made my number 2 of all time. Machikoro did not make the top 100. I still like Machikoro, and I especially like Machikoro Legacy. But I would not, I like Space Base better, so that is completely up to you. My preferred pair of colors, purple, then black, then white, then orange. I recently bought Century Golem Edition based on your review. It's amazing. Are the additional cards worth it? Maybe. Extra cards are always nice for a game, but I don't know that they need to be gotten. Universal acclaim is subjective with any game, but I see it more in video games than in board games. How can this be? Maybe board games are less popular than video gaming? Yes, but I don't think any game is universally acclaimed because not everyone's going to like it. Like, let's pick a game that's really seems to have almost straight up universal acclaim. So maybe Super Mario World, you know, when that came out, I mean, I didn't see a negative review for it almost at all. But some people don't like that style. When Civilization came out, I remember, or Alpha Centauri got a 98% from PC Gamer, or it was 97 or 98%. It was the highest percentage I think they've ever given. But not everyone's going to like that game. Some people are still going to hate it. So... What would be the minimum BGG rating of your top 100? I presume with your history, you have countless 10s and 9s. Oh, an 8.5 would be the minimum. Do you think a lot of Catch-Up Palooza games will be new entries on next year's top 100? I don't know, but you know, I think with us, because we're always like, you know, I feel like with us, a game that someone else likes a lot, we go into with a kind of, well, we'll see. You know, that kind of attitude is there. Like, we'll see if this is good or not. You know, so I don't know if that's against it or not. Have you done a top 10 anticipated games 2021 yet? No, Thursday, 2 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Will I be revealing Chronicles of Drunagor Age of Darkness? I believe a copy's on its way to me, so I'll play it and review it. Sure. Looks like you have, says Board Game Co. Alex says, over 16 years, you have 553 unique games in your top 100 out of 7,000 plus, or 7.9% of all games you played at one point made the top 100. That's interesting, or 1.4% in a given year. I can live with that. If 1% of games in any year make the top 100, that works, right? It's going to get, these numbers are going to get smaller and smaller and smaller. When I get to 10,000 games, which is like 6 years away, when I get to 10,000 games played, then my top 100 will literally be less than 1%. That'd be interesting. I can't wait. When do we get the new track? Well, when he's finished with them. He's going to build all 6 boards, finish them off and everything, and then ship them to me. He lives in Canada, so it might take a bit to get them. So just assume a month at least, I'm assuming. I'm not putting any kind of pressure on him to get them done fast or anything. We got our tried and true marble ramp, and we'll use it. Tomorrow we have Attack of the Zombies happening. Oh, Michael just subscribed. Thank you, Michael. And Laurie just subscribed. Thank you, Laurie. And now I'm wondering if I missed some other ones that subscribed. And if they did, I'm sorry. Today, Ignacy did his top 5 YouTube board game reviewers. Would I consider doing something similar? No. Why would I review other reviewers? That seems like a very non-useful thing to do. I'm afraid to go watch it. Did I make the top 5? Probably not. If I won the lottery, first of all, I'd be like, how could I possibly win a thing I never play? But let's say I played the lottery and won a lottery. So if I got millions, what would I spend the winnings on? I would probably do some sort of cool thing for my family. But after that, they would all go into Dice Tower probably. Would my life change drastically? I don't think so. I think that I would keep doing the Dice Tower. Tom Vasel backed the burger holders, didn't he? I did not. I could not see a good reason to back them. Do you think it's becoming problematic with games getting big box treatments lately? Yes, I do. I don't think people have room for all these gigantic, huge boxes. I don't know. I don't know how that's going to work. There's so many of them, too. Would you consider going over the differences in a new Nothing Personal game? I don't know that I could. I'd have to. I actually had not played it because I didn't have any input on that, and that was by my choice. Okay, I wasn't like I was cut out. I chose not to be involved in the second edition, and left it up to Steve to finish it off and just run with it. So the changes in it, I can't really speak to. It almost feels like a lose-lose situation anyway, right? If I played it and didn't like it, that's bad. And if I played it and did like it, you would always wonder if I didn't like it secretly. So it's just best maybe I don't play it. I still might at some point. Who knows? I'm going to be an optimist. Will there be a live in-person shoots and marble race at Dice Tower conventions? Huh. You know, up to this point in time, that had never occurred to me. Man, but kids would love that, wouldn't they? To see it in person? It's going to happen. I'll do it at a convention. I don't know which one, but we'll do it at a convention. That would be fun. We tell people, bring your marbles in, and we're going to race them here. Yes, it will happen. I don't know if we'll do it on the cruise, because that would be a lot of extra stuff to take on the cruise. That would be great. Maybe we'll do it on the cruise. If I could figure out how to get them on the cruise. Oh, that would be amazing. Thanks for the good idea. Can't believe I didn't already think of that. Do you think an out-of-print game appearing on one of your lists will create enough buzz for it to get it reprinted? Doubtful. I don't think we have that kind of power. Alrighty, let's see here. Someone's asking me about WandaVision. People asking me about that. I will give my thoughts on WandaVision. I'll review it when the series is over. I think it's 9 episodes. They've done 4. So I'm going to wait till all 9 are done, and I'll talk about it then. For Tainted Grail, you mentioned having a house rule to reduce the grind. Basically, just a way to make combats faster. And also my house rule for Tainted Grail is I can't die. And if I do die, I come back to right before I died and just keep going. There's no permadeath for me in Tainted Grail. Why did you become a teetotaler? Well, for the first 18 years of my life, it was because my dad told me I wasn't going to touch alcohol. So I didn't. And then when I turned 21, I just kind of decided not to. The fact that my wife doesn't either is very helpful, right? So, and we grew up hearing the alcohol was evil, for sure. That had something to do with it. But that is not a thing right now. The church I go to, my pastor drinks sometimes. And so it's not like that's a thing there. It's just, again, it's just a personal decision I've made. And it doesn't actually really hurt me, right? You know, at every convention I go to, people offer to buy me drinks. So I guess I'm losing out on those free drinks. And I guess Jim Gaffigan is the one who made the comment that that's the thing that people buy each other for free all the time, but not like no one ever comes to me like, Tom, let me buy you an appetizer. They buy you drinks, but I guess I get some Cokes. Am I crazy that my favorite hot sauce is KFC hot sauce? I really like Frank's of Louisiana. Any hot sauce, any recommendation for more gourmet hot sauce that's not a weird flavor like mango? Well, yeah, mango is definitely my favorite flavor. Well, no, I do like my key lime hot sauce that I have down here. Oh, it's so good. There's an Irish whiskey hot sauce that I like a lot. If you like these normal hot sauces, these quote unquote, mass market ones, that's fine. I find them all to taste the same. They all have that same taste. Like, I think Louisiana hot sauce, Frank's hot sauce, and if you say, I know they taste slightly different, but that kind of hot sauce is what I use when there's nothing else. It has a very specific flavor, and they seem to all be very similar. I would prefer probably Tabasco over both of them because I like that more vinegary taste to it. But I really like my special flavors, and I have a ton of them. But I don't know which recommendation I would pick from those. I kind of just pick one and try it. Have you ever told the story of the Dice Tower? I have. There's a series out there called The History of the Dice Tower, and I go through it. Did I plan for it to become this big? No! This used to be in my dreams. I never thought I would be able to pull something like this off. The new Umbrella Academy game needs an entire house rulebook. Well, we just got it and opened it, so I don't know. I hope it's a good game, but I've not been hearing great things about it. There's also too much flux. This one I might argue about because you don't mix the flux set together. So it's not really a bloated game. There's just a lot of versions of it, but it's not bloated because you don't mix them all together. Or you're not supposed to anyway. Can you explain the significance of the Dice Tower Library? The Dice Tower Library goes to Dice Tower Cons when they happen again. But I took it to Dice Tower East. It went to Dice Tower West once, although we're now building a separate Dice Tower West library just because taking it across America was just too much money. It wasn't worth it. But Dice Tower East, it will show up at Dice Tower Cruise and Dice Tower Retreat. So that's 3 different spots that it will show up at. And it is all the games I think are worth putting in a library. I have 100% sole discretion over that, but I put games in there that I don't like. I just think they're good games. And is it much different than my own collection? I don't know. It is my collection of games. There's no reason for me to have my own personal collection when I can just go to Dice Tower collection and pull a game out. So I have a few games at home that I guess that are my personal collection, but it's mostly Dice Tower Library. It's Cora Quest Day indeed. That's correct. Cora Quest is on Kickstarter now. Let's go take a look and see if I can find it. Alrighty. Cora Quest is coming to Kickstarter. There it is. Alrighty, it's made 20,000 out of a 60. It's already funded. Well, huzzah for that. $20,593 from Dan Hughes. Cora Quest that he and his daughter designed together and named after his daughter, Cora. This is fantastic. Hooray. I'm glad it funded, and I hadn't even looked at it yet. 17 days to go, folks. Check it out. That's Cora with a C, C-E-O-R-A, Q-U-E-S-T. In fact, yeah, that's all I can do right now. But we'll talk about it some more in the future for sure. Cora Quest is Dan Hughes and Cora have been part of Dice Tower for a while, so take what we say with a grain of salt. But I really like Dan, so I hope this succeeds really well. Do you think Maracaibo is good with 4 players? Yes. Any hints on getting over the anxiety of ruining my legacy games by playing them? No. Just once you start doing it, it doesn't bother you as much. It's just not that big of a deal. It's just cardboard and paper. If a book of mine gets wet and ruined, I'm a little sad, but it's just a book. They're just things. I don't do the component drop on my reviews at the moment, but when I did the component drop, people would often say I'm disrespecting the game. First of all, I try to take as good care of my games as possible. I do. But also, they're just a game. I have a game right here. It's a box. It's a cardboard. It has no feelings. If I do that, first of all, it didn't harm the game. But secondly, it's just some cardboard and stuff. You say it disrespects that person's work. Well, perhaps, but I don't mean any respect. And that person, the game was already purchased and bought from them, and therefore they got their money. Again, I don't think you should go around treating items with disrespect and smashing things with baseball bats and things. They come to my house, and we try not to break stuff. But when it inevitably does break down, I go, that's not great, but it's okay. So Legacy games, same thing, except it's meant to do that. That's like buying a toy and not opening up the packaging. Open up the packaging. Have fun. Look at it that way, and maybe you'll enjoy it more. And thus, we have gotten to the end of a Q&A where once again I didn't answer lots of the last questions. I'm so sorry. So, do I make my own hot sauces? No. I'm just quick looking here. Some of these questions I've answered before. I know someone asked me a question. I asked them to clarify, and I don't remember what the question was, and I can't find it now anyway. So, alrighty. I love this. Logo on the card, tax write-off. Yes. People always say this tax write-off thing, which I don't get. Paying less taxes doesn't mean the thing still didn't cost money. Like, I go out to eat, and someone's like, "Whoa, well, just have the Dice Tower pay for it. Tax write-off." Sure, but the Dice Tower still paid for it. Like the money still gets spent. The tax write-off is like, at least you don't have to pay taxes. I don't see how that people say it all the time. It just always mind boggles me. Like, tax write-off. Yeah, but I still have to buy it. Anyway. Alrighty, well, I'm excited about this week. This game I just showed you, Fiddle It. I reviewed it. It will be going up Wednesday. Me and my kids reviewed Mini Golf Designer. That's going up tomorrow. And I'm going to get ready on the next game over there that I'm reviewing, Pelican Bay. And then to the next game, and to the next game, and to the next game. Roy's right now working on getting intros ready for our new series that we'll be doing. Chris is learning how to do look back since I'm doing 2 of them this week. And Mike just unboxed like 8 new games for our unboxing channel. It's happening, folks. I'm excited. Kenny's working on getting the Pledge Manager ready for the Dice Tower. Z did an app review earlier today. We're here. Anyway. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Until next time, I'm Tom Vasel, and you've been watching Live Q&A on the Dice Tower. I'll see y'all tomorrow for marble raising, shoots and marbles. Wait. There we go.